Hi there, these comments are for PA, and you are one of my 30-day TOEFL writing boot camp course students. Woo-hoo-hoo! Right? So you want to get some feedback on a writing practice test. I think you sent it to me yesterday, and I got the official TOEFL IBT rubrics here. And I have your essay, and I'm getting ready to read it, score it, and I'm gonna show you first of all what your score is, and then what you need to do in order to change the paper to get the perfect score, 30 points out of 30. So let's see, number one, how you did. Number two, what changes do you think you need to make, or do you need to make in order to score higher? And that's what we're going to do in this video. Near the end of the video, I will do a diagnostic. I will take a look at specific lessons in my online course that I think you should review based on your writing weaknesses. And these are all things I'm doing during this video. Okay, so for your independent essay, the topic is, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Why it says that. Because people are busy doing so many different things, they do very few things well. Use specific reasons and examples to support your answer. So your essay, I think it's around 395 words. Right? So I recommend that you try to get another 100 words on this. Maybe between 450 and 500 is going to show that you can develop ideas a little bit more, right? So overall, I gave you 3.5 out of 5, 22 points out of 30. So this is the unedited version. This is what you wrote. Now, I'm going to copy this and let's work on it. I'm going to rewrite this thing so that it gets 30 points out of 30, 5.0 out of 5, and then show you so you can see some of the changes that you need to make in order to score higher. So here we have the essay one more time. And I'll send you this all by email. Now remember, once you get the video, the error correction video, if you have questions about the changes I made and anything about my course and writing in general and so on, you can meet me during my office hours. I think I'm available 10 to 12 p.m., 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mondays and Wednesdays, and then 12 to 12:50 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays using the Zoom link I sent you. So we can meet face-to-face and talk about your writing also. Why? Because you're one of my TOEFL Writing Bootcamp students. So I want to be available to you guys. You guys are paying more money, so you need a better service. I'm going to provide a better service for you, and that means you're going to get a lot more feedback than what normal students will get when it comes to writing. Okay, let's go to... Okay, this is the edited version. Right here. So let's take a look at your first paragraph. I'm going to make grammar corrections first. Focusing on quality over quantity tends to bring more fruitful results in our lives. From my perspective, since people have a lot of stress due to a high workload, they feel tough to concentrate on various things, so they perform better only on little things or only on a few. Little usually is with uncount nouns, few is with count nouns. Based on these two reasons, I strongly agree with the statement. So here you're talking about people more productive when they don't have a lot of stress. Or you have some people excel only in a few things because they have unwavering concentration, which excels them to become better in that activity. Yeah, it's a little bit weird how you included the thesis. So you have, in the dependent clause, you have one of your key points, and then in the independent clause, you have the other point. So that's a little awkward. I think we need to make some slight changes to your thesis. So to change your thesis, what I did is I put both of your main points, which are the points in the body paragraphs, I put them in the independent clause, not putting one in a dependent clause, another in the independent clause. That's very confusing. So I said this: from my perspective, work-related stress and the inability to concentrate on many activities simultaneously cause people to perform only a few tasks competently, which is why I strongly agree with this statement. That's the most important sentence of the whole essay. So we needed to get this right, because this is the eyes. This kind of tells you what you're doing. But the problem here is this paragraph. I mean, it's only 46 words. That's not a good idea. You need to have around 100 words. So this idea, focusing on quality over quantity, tends to bring more results in our lives. You need to really raise the topic a little bit more, and then you have the thesis statement. So we need to basically double the size of this first paragraph, and that's going to show a little bit more writing ability on your part. Okay, so here are the changes that I think you need to make to this introduction, right? You want to start off with a lot to say along with your thesis. That's going to add some word length onto the paper. So here, this is kind of what you wrote. Of course, I had to straighten out your thesis. So you have 46 words here, but then in this introduction, we now have 129. Okay, now remember, for the integrated writing task, you do not need to do this. This is only for the independent writing task. You're trying to raise some interest in the topic, you're raising the topic, then you're stating a main point, then you state the thesis. So here's what I said here. Students, workers, homemakers, and anyone else who wants to be successful in life want to showcase their many talents. Some people, for instance, excel at individual sports such as track and field and cross country, whereas others perform at high athletic levels in team sports such as basketball and soccer. However, what about those people who try to excel in many different areas of their lives? So this is the hook. I'm using a quote. And I'm using a question and a quote as a hook. The jack of all trades is the master of none. Someone said many years ago. In other words, focusing on quality over quantity tends to bring more fruitful results in our lives. From my perspective, work-related stress and the inability to concentrate on many activities simultaneously cause people to perform only a few tasks competently, which is why I strongly agree with the statement. So notice what I did here, and this is the key. It's not always good to exactly copy from the writing prompt. So I use the word competently here. If you look at the writing prompt, competently is a synonym for the word well. And then instead of using things, I use tasks. And saying, doing many different things, at least at the same time, I use the word simultaneously to kind of create that meaning there. All right, so that's my first step. The first step is to work on the introduction, to make sure your introduction is a little bit longer. I recommend right around 100 words. So you raise interest in the topic, you have some type of a hook, right? And then you end the paragraph with the thesis, and that gives the essay direction. So that's my first suggestion. Okay, now let's take a look at your different paragraphs. So let's compare. If you say first of all, you're stuck with second of all here, or you can say first and you can say second. So that's what we call symmetry. It's also called parallelism when you're using transition words. So you say, first of all, people are more productive when they're working without any pressure. This allows them to organize a task with ease in given settings. This one, people who excel only in a few things because of unwavering concentration, which excels them to be better performers in that activity. This is a much better topic sentence here than this one up here. Why? I like how you repeat some of these key ideas from the writing prompt and from the thesis. Only a few tasks competently, right? So you're kind of restating that idea. So we need to work on this topic sentence a little bit more. But let me make some corrections here, then we'll do some work on that. So you have a comma splice there. Go to Google. What is a comma splice? So I'm going to put a period. This allows them to organize the task with ease in given settings. In other words, when people are involved in various tasks, they will feel more overwhelmed and negatively affects their health. So you need to put which causes stress, which negatively affects their health. For instance, my father is a well-rounded person, but he's good at only one or two tasks. Recently, we had a family gathering with a ballpark figure of 60. Of 60 people, you want to say, maybe. Which means about 60 people. During that occasion, my dad was unable to arrange a gathering, though he can manage small groups well. Though he manages small groups, and then put it like that. He thought of allowing children to play games and then the remaining people to be involved in sharing their experiences, but it is really hard on him. We used it way too much in this. We're going to work on this in a minute. Due to increased tension, he was not in a position to think about the next step, and the event was not successful. People are more productive. People can only perform a few tasks well So people can only perform a few tasks well because of the overwhelming stress that is involved when these workers are trying to complete tasks with a myriad of intricate parts. Your vocabulary, I'm going to be honest with you, is not very strong, so you definitely need to work a lot in the vocabulary part of my course, especially vocabulary lesson 4, 5, and 6. Really focus on learning those words. Okay, first of all, people can only perform a few tasks well because of the overwhelming stress that is involved when these workers are trying to complete tasks with a myriad of intricate parts. So I think that this topic sentence, it really kind of encapsulates, I think, the thesis and also the writing prompt a little bit better. And I think once you've said all this, let's get to your dad. Your dad, that's the best thing you got going here. And as you explain your example, you can explain some of these ideas here. For instance, my father's a well-rounded person, but he is good at executing only one or two tasks with a high degree of competence. Okay, recently we had a family gathering with a ballpark figure of 60 people. During that occasion, my dad was unable to arrange the gathering, was able to arrange the gathering, though he manages small groups well, was able to was unable to effectively arrange a gathering, though he manages small groups well. To illustrate, he thought of allowing to 20 children. He thought of allowing he thought of having the 15 to 20 children to play games while the remaining people would be involved in sharing their experiences with each other. We got to get a little more specific here. However, the children did not cooperate in dividing. We got to get more dividing themselves into groups of 4 so that they could begin their games. In addition, the adults were reluctant to share their experiences with others, and instead they used their phones to make social media posts. This is where your writing score goes down. There's a lot of things that you could have said in here when you're describing your dad's situation, but you really didn't, and you talked about things in a more general sense, and that shows, in my opinion, some limitations with either your grammar or your vocabulary. So it's going to be hard for you to score higher until you have a little bit better control over your vocabulary and your grammar. However, the children did not cooperate in dividing themselves into groups of 4 so they could begin their games. I'm just kind of making this up, but I'm just trying to show you how you want to get a little more specific at this point. In addition, adults were reluctant to share their experiences with others, and instead, they used their phones to make social media posts. As hard as my dad worked to make this gathering a success, maybe we'll say as hard as he worked to try to make the gathering a success, got overstressed, which made it difficult for him to think about the next step and the one thereafter. How about so as hard as my as hard as he worked to try to make this gathering a success, my father got overstressed. Let's just use it as a verb here. Why am I saying got? My father overstressed. I'm going to give this hence making it difficult for him to think about the next step and the many thereafter. Therefore, the event was not successful. Okay, let's take a look at it now. So we made quite a few changes in here. So we developed this. If you only have 2 paragraphs in an essay, you want to make sure you really develop those 2 paragraphs, or you want to have 3 paragraphs between 100 and 150 words apiece. So here we got 195 words. That is plenty. And notice what I did is I got rid of a lot of general statements and I focused on the example, and that's the whole remaining part of this paragraph. So first of all, people can only perform a few tasks well because of the overwhelming stress that is involved when these workers are trying to complete tasks with a myriad of intricate parts. For instance, my father is a well-rounded person. I'm going to put a comma, separate those 2 independent clauses with a coordinated conjunction. But he is good at executing only 1 or 2 tasks with a high degree of competence. Recently, we had a family gathering where the ballpark figure is 60 people. During that occasion, my dad was unable to effectively arrange the gathering, though he manages small groups well. To illustrate, he thought of having the 15 to 20 children play games while the remaining people would be involved in sharing their experiences with each other. However, the children did not cooperate in dividing themselves into groups of 4 so they could begin their games. In addition, the adults were reluctant to share their experiences with others, and instead they use their phones to make social media posts. As hard as he worked to try to make this gathering a success, my father overstressed, hence making it difficult for him to think about the next step and the many thereafter. Therefore, the event was not successful. My father... Okay, that's probably good enough there. So that's what I would say there. So I think that we have, in a pretty strong way, we've illustrated the first point of how work-related stress can make it difficult to concentrate on many things at once, right? And we've kind of shown that through this specific example. All right, let's take a look at your second paragraph here. Second of all, people excel in only a few things because they have unwavering concentration. And then you have excels again. Let's say, how about thereby helping them to be better performers in those activities. You're saying a few things. Those activities. Be careful of your pronoun agreement. When people multitasking, when people are multitasking, they will miss some important details. Maybe put the comma here. Whereas when doing one activity, they would be more focused. We got too many wins in here, right? So how about this? Let's say people how about people who multitask? Let's just make multitask the verb. Now what I'm doing is I try to avoid using when. You don't want to depend too much on a certain grammatical structure because you see it again here. So I changed this to an adjective clause. That's going to show a little bit more sentence variety. So people who multitask will miss some important details, whereas when doing one activity, they would be more focused. I don't know, you said would be and they will miss. You're mixing your tones here. Would be kind of is a more hypothetical kind of a thing. Will is more future. So let's just change this to will. So people who multitask will miss some important details, whereas when doing one activity, they will be more focused. As a result, they will deliver as a result of their intense focus, as a result of their intense focus, they will deliver a higher quality of work than those who try to do many, or those who try to perform well in many areas. My personal example demonstrates this. To me, this sentence does nothing. I see it all the time. My personal example is a compelling example, or my personal experience is a compelling example of this, right? If I see that sentence one more time in my lifetime, it'll be too much. I've heard that one so many times. Why say all that when you can just say this? Be careful about your not being too wordy. As a result of their intense focus, they will deliver a higher quality work than those who try to perform well in many areas. For instance, when I was in Mumbai, early on in my career, I registered for some classes at a local community college or whatever it is, but give me more information. Some of your sentences are a little bit too short. I mean, this is 22 right now, but I would try to keep a lot of your sentences over 20 words, and then every now and then you'll throw a shorter one in there, but you don't want too many short sentences. That's not going to be very good for you because it shows a lower level of college writing ability. Eventually, I was unable to concentrate on too many things. No, see, you're not telling me the whole picture here. I registered for some local classes at a local community college. How about calculus, biology, history, and astronomy. You see what I did there? I'm adding these details in here. I registered for some classes at a local community college, calculus, biology, history, and astronomy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So what can you learn here? You need to complete your sentences with telling detail, very specific detail. That's going to really help you to explain your idea. See, eventually, I was unable to concentrate So you took these classes just give me examples of what you can put in here to really. One week I had to prepare for my first calculus test, but also had to write a 4 to 5 paper in my history class. I had to prepare for my first calculus test, but also had to write a 4 to 5 page paper in my history class. So we have, during the semester of study at that college, I simply had too many exams, papers, oral presentations, and reading assignments, all of which were happening at the same time. Eventually, I was unable to concentrate on those class subjects. Then, I decided to continue only one class of our programming, which allowed me to focus only on the learning outcomes for that class, say as a result I was able to concentrate easily concentrate on the subject matter to complete all the assignments timely manner, so I received an A in that course. You had some trouble trying to explain that. If you say I reached top notch, I reached a top notch score or grade in that course. And due to now let's restate your topic sentence here. People excel due my successful efforts at being able to excel in one area, I became an R programmer. Now I'm working in a software company with a good salary package. If I had past perfect, if I had tried to excel in multi-courses, I would have definitely, this is another reason you're scoring lower is your grammar limitations. I would have definitely ended up with nothing then put maybe here, however, instead of but. After concentrating on only one thing, I'm holding a crucial role in my organization. Okay, this is a big paragraph. We don't need all this, right? We can probably get rid of some of your general statements in the beginning. Once you get to the details, that's where you really need to showcase your vocabulary. So let's get rid of some things in the beginning. Yeah, this doesn't do really anything. It's just general ideas. So now we made this paragraph a little bit shorter. It's down to 237 words. That's plenty, right? So you're developing, you're able to develop the two paragraphs with a high degree of what I call detail, which is good. So what you did, I think you had 395 words, so we're obviously more than that. Now we are 595 words, and believe it or not, I have students every month who can write between 500 and 600 words on the TOEFL writing section for the independent writing task, and guess what? They score between 28 and 30 points. And you can do it. It takes practice. I'm just showing you what you need to do. Okay, let's look at this paragraph one more time. It says, second of all, people excel only in a few things because they have unwavering concentration, thereby helping them to be better performers in those activities. For instance, when I was in Mumbai early on in my career, I registered for some local classes at a local community college: calculus, biology, history, and astronomy. One week I had to prepare for my first calculus test, but I also had to write a 4 to 5 page paper in my history class. During the semester of study at that college, I simply had too many exams, papers, oral presentations, and reading assignments, all of which were happening at the same time. Eventually, I was unable to concentrate on those class subjects. Then, I decided to continue only one class of our programming, which allowed me to focus only on the learning outcomes for that class. As a result, I was able to easily concentrate on the subject matter and to complete all the assignments in a timely manner. So I received an A in that course. Later on, due to my successful efforts at being able to excel in that one area, I became an R programmer. Now, if you want, you can probably say in a successful company, and then we can get rid of all this. Maybe I think you could probably just end it right there. So now what do we have? Good, 194 words. So, and I'm trying to keep both of the paragraphs fairly balanced. It usually doesn't look good in academic writing if you have one paragraph which is, say, 100 words and the other is 200. Now, you don't have to be exact. I mean, don't get me wrong. It doesn't have to be exact, but it generally looks better to balance. Each paragraph has roughly the same number of words in those body paragraphs, and that's kind of what I did here. So we have, if you look here, we have right around 194 words, and then over here we have 100 and, is that right? 194? That can't be right. 194 here. I couldn't get it exact. Could I? It's 194. It's a sign. How the heck did I do that? Who knows? Anyway, so that's where we look at. So let's read it one more time, see how it sounds. Second of all, people excel in only a few things because they have unwavering concentration, thereby helping them to be better performers in those activities. For instance, when I was in Mumbai early on in my career, I registered for some local classes at a local community college: calculus, biology, history, and astronomy. One week I had to prepare for my first calculus test, but I also had to write 4 to 5 page paper in my history class. During the semester of study at that college, I simply had too many exams, papers, oral presentations, and reading assignments, all of which were happening at the same time. Eventually, I was unable to concentrate on those class subjects. Then I decided to continue only one class of our programming, which allowed me to focus only on the learning outcomes for that class. As a result, I was able to easily concentrate on the subject matter and to complete all the assignments in a timely manner. So I received an A in that course. Later on, due to my successful efforts at being able to excel in one area, I became an R programmer in a successful company. To me, that's great. Just end it right there. Perfect. There you go. Let's take a look at your conclusion now, see how you did here. So in conclusion, people more productive and well-structured in performing their duties Yeah, see, you're putting these key ideas in either prepositional phrases, and I don't even see the other point in the conclusion. Where's the idea in the thesis? We're talking about the inability to concentrate on many activities at the same time. So I think we need to work on this. People more productive. Maybe get rid of this. Hence, in conclusion, people are more productive when they have less stress and when they're only concentrating on a few things. Hence, I strongly believe that people benefit more when they perform limited activities rather than multiple things. Okay, and I think that's good enough there, right? Okay, so let's go through the whole thing one more time, make just a few more minor corrections, and then I want to go over to my website and let's figure out which areas of my course you need to focus on the most in order to improve your writing. So we already know that you have some vocabulary and some grammar limitations, right? So that's one area you can look at. Students, workers, homemakers, and anyone else who wants to be successful in life want to showcase their talent. So the edited version, I believe, will score 30 points out of 30. It says, want to showcase their many talents. Some people, for instance, excel at individual sports such as track and field and cross country, whereas others perform at high athletic levels in team sports such as basketball and soccer. However, what about those people who try to excel in many different areas of their lives? The jack of all trades is a master of none, someone said many years ago. In other words, focusing on quality over quantity tends to bring more fruitful results in our lives. From my perspective, work-related stress and the inability to concentrate on many activities simultaneously cause people to perform only a few tasks competently, which is why I strongly agree with the statement. So notice this sentence. This is 32 words. This is what you want to do. Keep your sentences around 20 to 30 words. That's pretty good. You don't want a lot of sentences that are shorter than 20 because the TOEFL has a computer, the E-rater, that analyzes your sentence style and your sentence structure. And if a lot of the sentences are shorter and your vocabulary is very basic, the E-rater is going to give you a lower score based on the linguistic features of your writing. So be careful. Computers can do a lot. Now, the computer cannot say if you've directly addressed the topic, and that's why there's a human rater who also scores your essay. But the computer, the E-rater program, it can look at the vocabulary, it can look at the sentence style, the sentence length, the types of words you're using, the type of grammar you're using, and it can actually reach some pretty accurate conclusions on your writing proficiency. Okay, the next paragraph. First of all, people can only perform a few tasks well because of the overwhelming stress that is involved when these workers are trying to complete tasks with a myriad of intricate parts. Again, how many words is that? 33, right? For instance, my father is a well-rounded person, but he is good at executing only one or two tasks with a high degree of competence. Recently, we had a family gathering with a ballpark figure of 60 people. During that occasion, my dad was unable to effectively arrange a gathering, though he manages small groups well. To illustrate, he thought of having the 15 to 20 children play games, while the remaining people would be involved in sharing their experiences with each other. However, The children did not cooperate in dividing themselves into groups of 4 so they could begin their games. In addition, the adults were reluctant to share their experiences with others, and instead they used their phones to make social media posts. As hard as he worked to try to make this gathering a success, my father overstressed, hence making it difficult for him to think about the next step and the many thereafter. Therefore, the event was not successful. Second of all, people excel in only a few things because they have unwavering concentration, thereby helping them to be better performers in those activities. For instance, when I was in Mumbai early on in my career, I registered for some classes at a local community college: calculus, biology, history, and astronomy. One week I had to prepare for my first calculus test, but I also had to write a 4 to 5 page paper in my history class. During the semester of study at that college, I simply had too many exams, papers, oral presentations, and reading assignments, all of which were happening at the same time. Eventually, I was unable to concentrate on those class subjects. Then, I decided to continue only one class of our programming, which allowed me to focus only on the learning outcomes for that class. As a result, I was able to easily concentrate on the subject matter and to complete all the assignments in a timely manner. So I received an A in that course. Okay, how about this? How long is this sentence? 31 words. Later on, due to my successful efforts at being able to excel in one area, I became an R programmer in a successful company. And that's it. In conclusion, people are more productive when they have less stress and when they're only concentrating on a few things. Hence, I strongly believe that people benefit more when they perform limited activities rather than multiple things. And there it is. So the next step is, let's go into my website. Let's see which areas of my course you need to focus on. Now, as a TOEFL Writing Bootcamp student, you get 2 error correction videos, and this is the first one, right? So then my advice is, it's a good idea to kind of split the course into half, where you take this video. This is a 1-hour video here. You take this video, watch it several times. You start working on the areas that I'm suggesting, and then do more independent writing practice tests. Then I can give you more basic feedback to monitor your progress. Then if you need to, if you want me to go over one of your essays quickly, I can't spend a lot of time, but you can find me during my office hours by Zoom, and we can talk about your writing there. But the main thing is, this is a very heavy video, very heavy feedback. It's very overwhelming to get this kind of feedback for the first time. So the next thing is, what do you need to do in my course in order to improve your writing? I've already made some, I talked about this. I think that your vocabulary is weak. You need to improve that. So you really need to focus on vocabulary lesson number 4, number 5, and number 6. You need to really learn those words. These are 1,500 vocabulary words. I got 2 words for you. Learn them. Learn them. But Michael, it's so hard. Of course it's hard. You think writing is easy? No. Writing is one of the most difficult things you ever will have to do in a new language, or even if English is your first language. I teach college writing at Cal State University, San Bernardino. My students complain all the time. This is too hard, Michael. I got to write an 8-page paper. How do I do this? It's hard work. It's hard. But that's my first suggestion right there. Okay, let's get into the grammar section now. Anything that stands out at me, I'm going to bring them up. Now, you want to take notes? I think you can do better with sentences with participial phrases and appositives. Lesson 3, Lesson 4. I think Lesson 4.1 is a good one for you. Lesson 6, sentences with adjective clauses. I think you can do better there. I think subject, verb, and versions, you don't do any of this in your writing. Your writing is too basic. Study Lesson 11. This is good for you. Lesson 14, parallel structure. What else? Let me see. Lesson 25, comma splices, run-on sentences, and fragments. I think sentence variety is a good one. Lesson 26, check out that one. Lesson 27, being more concise. Lesson 28, punctuation. Review when to use commas, when not to use commas. I think that's good for you. Be careful about pronoun antecedent agreement. Lesson 32, that's a good lesson for you. Eliminate distracting shifts. Go through that lesson. Okay, let's go into the writing part. I'm not even in the writing part of my course yet. So let's look in the writing. I think there's one or two really important lessons I want you to take a look at. I'm going to talk about those right now. Let's see. Okay, here we go. This is the most important one here. I think lesson 1, independent, TOEFL independent writing strategies. Go through that lesson. Check that one out. Now let's go to, I think lesson 5.5, how to show depth and complexity of thought. I want you to read that lesson. And then lesson 5.6, writing the perfect paragraph. This shows you how you can take one specific example and then write about it for 100 words. But it shows you the 7 important characteristics of writing the perfect paragraph. Go through that lesson. I think that one's a good one. And then one more, lesson 8, how to make your writing more coherent. And then lesson 8.1, how to make your writing more coherent. Review. It's kind of a quiz to see if you understand what I'm trying to teach you here. So I think if you review the vocabulary, you do the grammar lessons, and then the writing lessons, go through these things extensively, but keep sending me writing practice tests. Send them maybe every other day, and I will continue to give you feedback so you can monitor your progress. And then maybe after 2 or 3 weeks, then you can start working on the integrated writing task. So you're not trying to do 2 things at the same time. You can focus right now on the independent writing task. Focus on it for maybe 2 or 3 weeks or a month if you want. I think I gave you 2 months of access. And then the next 4 weeks or the next few weeks, you can focus on the integrated writing. But remember, you can use my course any way you want. I'm just giving you some suggestions on how you can use it. But it's up to you ultimately how you want to do things. But you probably now know why I don't like you to send me too many writing practice tests, because you now need to take everything I've said today and start learning all this information, which is a lot. But if you just do the practice test over and over and over, and you don't think about what I'm saying, and you don't review the recommended lessons, you just keep doing the same mistakes over and over and over and over, and you never get better. You see what I'm saying? All right, thank you very much for doing this writing practice test. I hope that this video has given you some good ideas on how you can improve your writing. I think I gave you a score of 3.5 out of 5 if you go back to the actual essay, right? So the original essay is 22 points here. That's what you wrote. And then we made some changes. And if you make these changes, I guarantee you, this is how you get a score of 5.5 out of 5 or 30 points out of 30. All right, thank you.